Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Advanced League Tips, a series where we take a look at each champion individually and break down their animation cancels, input buffering combos, as well as item active combos with their kit. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ahri, and we're going to be taking a look at a couple of input buffering combos with her basic abilities, as well as interactions with Everfrost, and then ult flashing, and then using Zhonya's Hourglass with her ult as well. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. So giving her basic abilities some context, she has her Q, which is her Orb of Deception, has a bit of a wind-up time down here, but you fire it out, does one instance of damage. When it circles back, it does a second. Her Charm, which again down here has a wind-up time, and then her W, which is an AoE that surrounds her. This does not have a wind-up time. She automatically activates it, and then it prioritizes champions when she gets close to enemies to deal damage. Now, when it comes to input buffering, her E and her Q cannot be input buffered over top of each other, meaning they cannot be fired at the same time. So if I go E and then Q, they both have wind-ups. Likewise, I can also go Q, E, and both of them have wind-ups. However, if I try and fire both together, both wind-ups fire at separate times rather than over top of each other. Now, when it comes to input buffering with her W, she can input buffer either with her WQ or her WE. The reason being is that her W, if you look right above the ability bar here, has no wind-up time. It automatically goes off when I press it. So what we want to do is we want to press WQ or WE in that order as close together as possible to get the input buffering. So if I go QW, we get wind-up and then the Foxfire goes off. But if I go WQ, the Foxfire goes off first, and then the Q fires. So what we'll do is we'll get that ability out first as the windup for the Q starts, and then we'll get all 4 instances of damage, i.e. both abilities off at the same time. Likewise with her E and her W, if we go WE, the wind-up fires first before the W, so if we go EW, you see that the E has to fire before the W goes off, but if we lead with the W, the Foxfire comes out as the E starts to fire. So when it comes to input buffering, the fast combo for WQ or WE, it has to be W first and then Q, or W first and then E. So likewise, to give that context one more time, we have sorry. We have WQ, and then likewise we have WE, and that's the fast combo for that. Now, when it comes to Everfrost, Everfrost by itself, you can input buffer with all of her abilities. So, to give Everfrost context, when you fire it, you get the AoE, and if the enemy champion is caught in the middle, they get stunned. Just for context, if they're out of that, they get slowed. So if I go Everfrost E, they'll both do the wind-up and they'll fire at the same time. Likewise, with Everfrost and Q, the wind-up happens over top of each other, so we'll get both of those off and hitting at the same time. And then with Everfrost and W, obviously, like I said, W has no wind-up to it, so you want to lead with it first, and then fire the Everfrost. Now, if we try and input multiple over top of each other, we go W Everfrost Q. As you can see, you can do 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, you want to lead with the Foxfire, so those together. And then same with the Foxfire and Everfrost and her Charm. We go Foxfire, Everfrost, and Charm at the same time, and we'll get those 3 instances of damage. And then just to give it further context with her full combo, after that, we get the Q going off. So those are all the interactions with her basic abilities in Everfrost. Let's get into her ultimate interactions. So with her ultimate, when she dashes, and if this AoE portion of the ultimate lands on an enemy, she'll fire an orb to them, and it'll deal damage. Now, similarly to Shen and Gragas, they do have a dashing and flash interaction, but the difference here is that you don't have to worry about Ahri's hitbox landing on top of the enemy's hitbox, but rather you just have to get this circle into range of the enemy for this to work. So again, for context, dash orb 1, dash orb 2, and then dash orb 3. And then we're going to wait this to go on cooldown. Play with some abilities here. As you can see, you can fire both of those at the same time. And now that this is back up, so we're going to dash, and before the dash ends, this is what's important, I'm going to flash towards the enemy, and the instance of damage will go off. So dash, and then here's dash 2, and then here's dash number 3. Now, the important thing to note here is that you have to do it while the dash is active. If you do this after the dash ends, so to give this context here, then it's not going to fire an orb. So to do that 2 more times, and then once more. So you have to make sure that the dash is still in progress in order to get the damage off when you activate flash. So to do that 1 more time, there's 1, here's dash again, there's 2, and then here is the dash again. And you see we got the 3rd instance of damage off. Now, likewise with this, you can also use her ult with Zhonya's Hourglass. So if you dash towards an enemy and say you're getting a gank from River over here, you can dash in, and you can see even though she dashes and the damage still goes off, she can Zhonya's and become invulnerable. So we'll do that. And then 1 more time for context. And one more thing I would like to note about Ahri's dash is that if you don't cast it at max range, which is the vicinity of the circle, the distance is actually controllable. So here's a short dash, here's a medium dash, and then here's a max range dash, which you can cast outside of the circle to get a max range dash. Well, guys, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully, this will increase your knowledge and maximize how you use Ahri in-game and give you more information as to what Ahri is capable of. As always, guys, I'm Remote Night Owl. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, we will see each other again real soon. Have a wonderful day.